Alright, tomorrow is mine and my wife's 2-year wedding anniversary, and our favorite food is lasagna, and I'm really good at cooking it, so I will show you guys how I make it tonight. This is everything required to make my lasagna. Pound of beef, pound of pork sausage regular, 1 onion, 1 can of Rotel. I like to cut up tomatoes too, but I just wanted Rotel tonight. Onion butter seasoning, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, 2 jars of sauce, might not use both. Cottage cheese, ricotta cheese, oven-ready lasagna, and mozzarella. And I use this oven-ready lasagna because you don't have to pre-cook it or anything. You just put it in, it's easy, no boiling required. I love using this lasagna, but let's get started. Okay, to get started, first things first, we're gonna skin, slice this onion after we've washed our hands. I just did that, but I'm gonna get this onion skinned, sliced up, cubed up, I should say. And you can cut the onions however big or however small you want. I like mine small so they get cooked in. I don't want to bite into my lasagna and have a big old chunk of onion. Then we'll throw the scraps in the buckets, take the compost bin, get some olive oil in the pan. Now we'll add some onion butter seasoning by Fire and Smoke Society, some garlic powder, and lastly the Italian seasoning. And it's okay to over-season your onions because all of that is going in with the meat when I fry the meat. We are going to lightly fry the onions for about 3 to 5 minutes. While that's happening, I'll get the meat thrown in the other skillet. Alright, I switched burners. The onions are still frying. We'll get this meat fried up and drain the grease, and then we will add the onions and seasoning because we don't want to dump out all the seasoning when we drain the grease. Alright, the onions are done to where I like them, so I will now add the can of Rotel. We're going to give that a quick stir. Once you're done stirring it, go ahead and just shut the heat off, because as soon as I drain the meat from drain all the fat from out of the meat, we're going to add that into here and finish cooking it for the next, I don't know, 3 to 4 minutes. And while the meat's cooking, go ahead and grab yourself a beer to remind yourself of how manly you are while you're cooking supper and your wife's mowing the yard. Good job, babe. Alright, I got all the fat drained off. Now we're going to chop this meat up as fine as we can. Now we're going to add the onions and tomatoes and seasoning. And it should only cook for about another 4 to 6 minutes. Make sure it gets good and hot. Now we're going to mix up some ricotta cheese, some cottage cheese, some mozzarella cheese. And if it's too thick for you to stir, go ahead and add some sauce to it. Some people add the sauce to all of it. I might. We'll see. There's about half the tub of ricotta and about twice as much cottage cheese as there is ricotta. And about 1.5 cups of mozzarella. And there's all 3 cheeses all mixed up. Now I'm going to end up using a whole pound of mozzarella on this lasagna. Now, depending on where you shop and how good the quality of ingredients are that you buy, this lasagna costs about $18 to $40 depending on what you buy. I've made it real cheap and I've made it real expensive. The real expensive one always tastes better, especially if there's less fat in the meat and you buy a higher quality sauce. Alright, the meat's almost done. We're going to get started on putting the noodles in the pan. And yes, I'm using an aluminum foil pan because this lasagna is going on the smoker. It's my first time smoking lasagna, so hopefully it turns out good. You're going to want to put a really thin layer of sauce down before you put the noodles down. But you'll put sauce, noodles, and then you're going to start doing layers. You're going to have meat and cheese, every single layer. And on those layers, I sprinkle sauce in. So let's get the camera set up and start doing that. Okay, so it goes sauce, noodles, ricotta cheese mix, meat, sauce on the first 4 layers. The 5th layer I put just ricotta cheese, then sauce, then shredded cheese. The top I always do different, and I'll show you how I do that now. So I put the noodles down, then I put both kinds of sauce. The orange sauce is the vodka sauce, and the reddish sauce is the 5 cheese sauce. Now I'm going to sprinkle the meat across top of this and kind of spread it out a little. We're going to spread the meat out, sauce out just like that, and then we're going to cover the top in cheese. Alright, the top's covered in cheese. Now I'm going to cover it. It's windy out. Lasagna is on the smoker. We're going to run it at 300 degrees for about 45 minutes. Once that 45 minutes is reached, I'm going to uncover it and let the cheese get a little crisp, a little smoke flavor into it, and it should cook for another 15 to 20 minutes. Now, quick recap. That's 1 pound of cheese, 2 pounds of sauce, 2 pounds of meat, about half a pound of ricotta and cottage cheese, half of an onion, and a whole jar of Rotel. Alright, just pulled it off the smoker. It's smoked without a cover for about 20 minutes. I think it looks delicious. Now we're going to let it sit and rest for about 15 or 20 minutes while I make the garlic bread. Well, the garlic bread is going to be kind of a disappointment because the loaf got smashed. This is how the loaf sits, and it's cut down the middle, but it got smashed this way. So, there's that. There's 2 breadsticks. See how it turns out. Alright, scoop it out and see how it looks. That looks delicious. I'm happy. Well, the verdict is in. It's delicious.